Welcome to Canna Vibes, episode 4. Today we have the special guest, Letter Shop, Tina. I was so excited to talk to her, and you will definitely see that when we get to the segment of talking to her. But first, we are starting our first Cannabis 101. I always do that, guys. This side. Cannabis 101. Basically, I want to just kind of give a small segment in each of the podcasts to education, because everybody and we are all always learning, and it just helps. So I want to start this episode off with terp sugar, but I guess we should start with terpenes. So terpenes are the molecule inside the cannabis plant that causes its aromas and can affect the psychoactive effects of it. Aromas, a lot of them. Limonene, there's a lot of different ones. So, to be more scientific about it, terpenes are plant-based compounds that are found all throughout the animal kingdom. So, when you take a walk and you smell pine, that's a terpene. This one. And whenever you smell lemon, that's terpene. So moving on from terpenes is the terp sugar or sauce. So basically it is high in terpenes. And how it's made is, we're going to get real scientific with this one, so I want to make sure I have the right wording, because I'm not a scientist, guys. That's the truth. Terp sauce sugar is made using butane hash oil extraction techniques. The process uses plant material in its fresh form or that which was frozen quickly after harvest and is therefore still relatively fresh, flash frozen. Using fresh material like this has massive advantages, as the terpenes may begin to degrade quickly after harvest due to their volatile nature. And basically, they extract with BHO, and then you have a purging process, which is used to remove the valuable oils that we leave in the terp that we want as part of the terp sugar sauce. Purging for terp sauce is done slightly differently and is often dubbed diamond mining. The gold liquid is placed within a cool and dark place for a couple of weeks. During this resting phase, separation occurs with terpy diamonds rising to the top. The remaining liquid is then removed and purged separately using heat. This liquid should be placed into a Pyrex dish and onto an electric heating pad with heat to it. If the liquid is still cloudy, then butane is still trapped within. So you want to make sure that it's not a dark liquid. Just throwing that out there. So that's what you're looking for when it comes to especially terp sugar, what we're talking about today. You're looking for something that's darker. If it's darker, then that means that we have left some extra butane in there to be purged out. So terp sauce is also amazing for medicinal as well. And however, it can have a very large high. It can have a very high THC count. So it's medicinal, therapeutic, high THC count is possible. Some companies will tell you that it's even at their products have it at 40% THC count. So basically, it's terp. They smell amazing. It also depends on what strain the terp sugar was used from or made from, and it's depending on the original plant material. And how it was grown, how it was taken care of. Like they said, if it was fresh right after it was cut, was it frozen? If it's been frozen, like if it's been like a couple weeks since it was cut, they freeze it right after they cut it, that kind of thing. Basically, the sheer potency of terp sugar should be able to offer you the opportunity to really get to know the strain that the terp sugar came from. If they're honest about that, which hopefully where you're getting it from, that's great. How you take terps sugar is I dab. You can use a dab rig and dab it that way, or you can, if you're old school and you like joints or blunts, you can also kind of do it like you do wax, but not like that because it's not sticky. That's not like forming like wax. You'll see that in the video at the end of my rambling of trying to explain what turf sugar is. But I want you guys to be able to see a product and know that it's quality so that you can use it kind of as a cornerstone when you go to different dispensaries or, things like that and you try product, you're at a friend's house, things along that line. And what questions to ask. You want to know what strain it was so that maybe if you like it, you like the way it tasted, you like the way it smelled, you like the terps, then, and you like the effect that it had, then you definitely want to look at that terp, look at that strain, and see what other strains have those terps, or if you want to start growing that strain, things like that. So today we're going to be talking about the I don't know, I have a problem. Cartel terp sugar. So I did a better video outside on my phone that you're going to see. See what I mean? And then now we're going to talk a little bit about the snowman. So, like I said, you don't have to run out and get Cartel. You should. I know they're kind of hard to find, but that's a good thing, right? But you want to use it as a cornerstone of what you're looking for. And with all these different things. So, like, the next episode, we're going to be talking about live resin diamonds and regular diamonds and what the difference is. And then we're going to talk a little bit more about our terp sugar and talk about what the difference is between those. And that way, when you go in, you know exactly what you're wanting to try, or you know a little bit about what's going on. Also, let me know how you guys like this, because I also want to keep up with what you guys like to do. So let's talk a little bit about the snowman. So Snowman is a hybrid. It's a 70-30 sativa dominant. So as you guys know, I'm not that big into sativas, but I will tell you that this one is pretty tasty. And as you can see, I took some before this episode, and this is how I am. The taste is great. So it's a phenotype of Girl Scout cookies, and that, you do know, is one of my top, if not probably there. GG number 4 has got to be the top. But I will definitely say that I like it. I mean, you can try it, but just telling you a little bit about Snowman. So sativa dominant, 70-30 hybrid, and phenotype of Girl Scout cookies. So if you're a fan of Girl Scout cookies, then you should try it, whether you're a sativan or an indica fan. Yeah, so there you have it. Our first cannabis education segment. Took 9 minutes instead of 5 minutes, but I'm sure I'll edit this out and then it won't be. So, sorry. But without further ado, we have Tina from Letter Shop, and let's roll into that.
Let's talk a little bit about like how Letter Shop got started, because I know the creativity thing. A lot of people like to ask, when did drawing start? But creativity is creativity. So, how did Letter Shop begin as a seed? I guess would be the right
as
question.
A seed.
As
like,
a seed.
What is your origin story? Oh man, I can do really deep in my register when I'm sick. Hell yeah, that's fun. I'm gonna play with that today. Okay, how I got started. Well, I've been full-time freelance for 6 years, but originally I went to school for digital arts and design in a school called Full Sail in Orlando. Got to work at some amazing places like Disney and Universal Studios in Orlando. But I fucking hated those jobs because they're corporate as hell, and you have to go through like so many layers of revisions and bullshit and legalese. And it's like, hey, do you want to only work in red, black, and gray for ESPN and just stare at Helvetica News for 2 years? You do. This is the job for you. It was pretty fucking soul sucking, to be honest. I really hated it. So I got really far away from my original dream of like being an illustrator as a kid, because my parents were like, okay, we respect your creativity. They were always really generous with like art supplies and support and art classes and this thing. But when it came to going to college, they were worried that I wasn't going to be able to find a place for me. So they thought graphic design was like a nice medium. Like, oh, there's plenty of jobs for graphic designers. So that's what I studied, and that's what I did for 5 years. And then I started to get fired a lot. Like I was pretty much like unhireable, because it's like, you work at a place, you're excited, there's new people, there's new things to learn, but then it starts to suck more and more, and then you start to give less and less shits. Like you don't really care,
and it becomes less and less about the job. It's all about everything else that muddles into it, and then on top of the job.
Yeah, it was really bad, and it kept happening over and over again. That with a mixture of how like volatile small businesses are, and it kept going out of business or being bought out. It was very confusing. And so like towards maybe like 2012, 2011, I just was like, fuck it, I'm going to do art again. I'm just going to draw for me. Just because I'm not doing it my day job doesn't mean I can't, just do it for fun. So I started with lettering because it seemed like the path of least resistance, because, if you don't use it, you lose it pretty much when it comes to art. And drawing, like going from like doing hyper realistic portraits, which is what I did in high school and stuff, and trying to do it now, it was like a joke. Like it just was. I felt so bad for all the characters I was drawing. They looked like something was horribly wrong with them. So I went for lettering, because it's like 28 characters. It seemed pretty easy. And my original business was called Logo Juice, because I started doing hand lettered logos, because there's a really good mixture of lettering, drawing, and then actually like using my graphic design degree. So that's how it actually started. And then I got so sick of logos, because you're staring at fucking like 3 letters or 5 letters or 2 words for 2 weeks, and it's pretty fucking dull. And then I just started doing like my own phrases and kind of having fun with it. And then that's when Letter Shop was born, because I was like, well, Logo Juice, I'm not doing logos anymore. I obviously have to change the name to something that's letter. And I put 2 P's and an E at the end of it, because someone had already bought lettershop.com, and it was like this unused printer from like the 90s. And I was like, all right, I'll just make my username extra fancy and vintage. And that's pretty much how it started, and then just like ended up snowballing into like a full-blown career.
That's exciting. I love stories that actually, like origin stories, that actually like they actually prove the saying, not everything is for you. Like just because something's not working out doesn't mean that you're not going to find, like instead of staring at that door that's been closed, like, going from one job to another because of the small business turnover and everything else with it. Because I'm with you. I was the same way with property management. So, it's soul sucking. It gets to a point where you're just like, what am I doing with my life every day? Am I even a person? Like you're just a robot. You just work, you come home, you listen to everybody tell you what you can and can't do. Like, so I love listening to stories. I moved on to something different, and it didn't just change from there. You moved on to something different and then moved on to something different from there. So
constantly evolving, for sure.
Yeah. And then so now I guess we should talk a little bit about cannabis, because that's basically what we do here on this Canna Vibes podcast. So I love what you're doing with cannabis censorship. Not that you're doing cannabis censorship, but against cannabis censorship. And so what started? I guess when did you start? When was your interest started in cannabis? When did your interest start in cannabis?
I mean, I've smoked weed with my mom since I was 13. So cannabis has been a big part of my life. It was really fun. It's actually kind of a funny story. I'm like 13. I'm leaving the house to go to the bus to catch school, and I don't know, what is that, like 8th grade or something, like whatever, something like that. And I forgot my lunch money, so I go back to the house and I smell this weird smell, and I go in the bedroom, and oh my god, my mom is not only is my mom smoking weed, but she's smoking weed out of this like artifact, because she loves like southwestern art. So there's this huge peace pipe with like a fucking deer hoof coming out of it with like feathers. It's like this very elaborate thing that I just always assume was just for show. Like she just had it like literally presented on the wall. I had no idea she smoked weed. And I walk in on her and she just looks at me and she's like, so this is what's going to happen. I'm going to call you out of school and we're going to smoke weed together. And I'm going to tell you about weed and tell you that it's not a bad thing and what you can do and how you should smoke and all that good stuff because you're going to do it anyways.
Yeah.
You're about to go to high school. So let me just walk you through it. And she was just super fucking cool. I missed a day of school. It wasn't end of the world. And it was such a cool mom. Like,
that's so awesome.
Right. She's like, if you're going to drink here. If you're going to smoke.
Yeah,
smoke.
that's how my parents were. They didn't smoke weed with them. In fact, the first time my mom smoked was with me. Like I smoked and that was bad because then I realized my mom has a very low tolerance.
They all do. They had to take like a half a puff. Like seriously.
It was a joint, so I'm a bong smoker. So like I sometimes forget too that when my friends come over and they want to smoke and they smoke joints, and I'm just like, take a bowl, and then I'm like, I have no friends for an hour because they're all dead. So
I have no friends for an hour. It's great. They all just like don't move and talk and have social anxiety up the wazoo. Yeah.
I'm just sitting there like staring at them all. Now I know, like now when somebody's having a bad reaction to THC because they just had too much, you can give them CBD and it counteracts it. And so
really, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so now that I know that, I keep some CBD around, I guess, but
it was really weird because like my parents, they got divorced like so many other parents when I was young, and my mom was such like a free spirit hippie woman. She fucking led her own business. She like sold her own t-shirts at flea markets and cleaned houses and just did whatever she did like she could to make ends meet. But then my dad is this very tall, black, traditional, like Hispanic man. So it was like So it was separate. Like, yeah, very different. So I had like kind of the best of both worlds, to be honest, where like I had like this free, like I could do whatever I wanted as long as I had good grades. I had all this freedom, and my dad was very structured, good, wholesome values, these things. So you wouldn't think they would work together, but it actually, like, I never really got in trouble as a kid. I had, I did great extracurriculars, all this stuff, but I had like a personality and an edge because I lived in a trailer park half the week. Mm-hmm. So it was a good balance, I think.
Yeah.
But I've always smoked weed, but it definitely took me way too long, like probably over a decade, to finally feel comfortable telling the industry, that like the design community, that I smoke weed because there's such a stigma a part of it. Mm-hmm. But I think I just reached a point in my career, luckily enough, like through hard work and like working with clients and stuff, that I don't actually make a big chunk of my money from client work. It's all from products and education, mm-hmm. like in my Patreon and all these other things. So I was like, fuck it, I'm going to start drawing cannabis stuff. And it took off like crazy. It really surprised me. I was able to get like 10,000 followers in 3 months. It was very obvious that the community needed more, artists to speak out for them.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. Exactly. And then when they see that too, because I'm telling you, like the first time I saw the whole Pass Joints Not Judgment, I was just like, yes, I love this. This is, and just how nice it looks. It's not, I don't know how to, trippy art. So I like trippy art. Trippy art's nice. Art that can include cannabis without it being we're at your drug dealer's house art, you know what I mean? So yeah. I really loved that. And, I've noticed that too. I've gone, I was very much into crystals and yoga and bouncing. I still am, and that's balanced with my cannabis. But once I moved over into cannabis content, once it became legal here in Oklahoma, I gained 1,000 followers right away too. And so I'm just, I love people in this space that are really pushing it and it's definitely a stigma. I have people that message me all the time that are just like, don't tell anybody I messaged you, but I have a question about this.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, I help them and I want to help and I tell them that, but I also tell them, some point you're going to have to be comfortable with who you are and what you do, no matter what it is. And if there's people around you, family, friends, I just got comfortable to a point where I was posting about my podcast on my Facebook because I have a lot of religious family where they just think, well, that's my family, so I have to be this way. And I thought about it and I was like, some of these people I haven't talked to in like 10, 15 years. So mm-hmm. why am I going to live my daily life or worry about what I'm going to post off of what these people think? So I love being able to talk to people that way that really openly reach out. I know you probably have some of the same.
Yeah, it's definitely not so much on the DL. They're just more like inquisitive. Like mm-hmm. even though like anyone could Google search stuff, but there's something really genuine and helpful when it comes from like a real person giving you advice. Like, oh, what's the differences between sativa and indica? Should I smoke CBD first? What's the best way to smoke? And just seeing like how inclusive that community is too. Like I've never gotten so many like reposts and all that good stuff from the community. And I think there is something to be said, like circling back to like, getting popularized with weed on Instagram or any other platform, it's really all about like, do you have a message behind your board? Like, mm-hmm. is there a subject matter that people can gravitate towards? Is there an audience that you're trying to attract that's specific versus like having a personal account and you're just showcasing your life?
Exactly.
it's like it's such a huge game changer. And coming from like a lot of lettering artists in this niche community, like we all follow each other, they tend to just, you're stuck in a vacuum and everyone thinks they have to do these like bullshit motivational phrases that everyone keeps drawing over and over again. And once you've seen it and it's not really hitting you. So it's like not just talking about cannabis, but like mental health, body positivity and feminism and anything else that strikes a chord with somebody, or especially the artists themselves. It's so important to put into your work so that way it can connect, because that's the whole fucking point of social media, right? Is to connect with people. It's not just to talk at them, you know?
No, or just to show them, hey, look what I did.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of artists, they're just like, their Instagram is like, look, mom, look what I made. Let's put it on the fridge. I got an A+. My teacher says that I am so talented. It's like, you drew another portrait.
Like, so happy for you.
But what does it mean though? Like, what's the vibe?
Right?
Yeah, I feel like it's so interesting too, like now that I've been following more and more cannabis influencers, if we will use that word. It's such a clear divide where I feel like everyone's copying each other, especially like the big curated pages and like, you know, hashtag bong babes and like all this stuff. I felt very like awkward. Like, can I, like, if I was like, I don't know, to talk about looks, but if I was like considered an ideal 10 or something like that. I'm a 10, okay? I don't know if you're hearing or seeing me, but I'm a fucking 10.
All right. Across the sky.
God damn it. Plus size and proud. But you know, if I would be the kind of person who would only take like really big bong hits where I'm like choking and like drooling a little bit versus like trying to be all like pinned up and cute, or the opposite where you're like, you know, if you know you got a little something extra, like take all your fucking clothes off and try to look as cute as hell with the bong. Like try to change it up and be a little bit more authentic. Like instead of, because everyone's always concerned with likes and engagement, all this stuff, and that's great. But it's more important, obviously, if you're a business. But if you're just doing it for validation, then you're doing it all wrong. It has to come from your experience. Like, okay, what's that thing that I saw on social media that I can take my own spin off of? Or let's fucking do like the exact opposite effect of what that person's intention is. That's why I love following people who are like the granny potheads. Those are my favorite. Just seeing like a 70-year-old woman just like take it like a champ. I'm like, fuck yes, you are my mom and I love you. Right? That's amazing.
Yeah, and Granny, she when she does her lives, everybody's always asking her to be their grandmother. Like, can you please just be my grandma too? It's amazing. I mean, and the community as a whole is very like you said earlier, it's very welcoming. The cannabis community as a whole there's so many people that just want to help each other and like talk to each other about it, because I mean, at the end of it, we're all so damn excited that this is gaining such I guess media spotlight. I don't know how else to say that, but it's gaining so much attention.
More of the norm, which is so important. And I think like you need that with anything. Like something like I always like to use like body positivity as an example. Like for so long, I thought shame was the only way I could be motivated to lose weight for years, and just kind of going in that cycle of like, I'm going to diet, but I'm going to gain more weight because I'm feeling ashamed because my dad bought me a girdle for Christmas because this person on Facebook called me fat or whatever the fuck. But then you start following different people and these women who might be like 100 pounds even more of a weight than you, and they're still fucking killing it and they're still fucking beautiful, and then you slowly get to be more comfortable being yourself. It's really similar with the cannabis industry. Like you see all these people talking about it, whether they're especially like more legalization, especially with it being federally legal in Canada, and you know CBD being federally legal in the States, and where people aren't, it's not this like, shh, be quiet, don't tell anybody. And I think that's what we need to be perpetuating, not so much like how cute do you look holding this custom fucking bong, but really like what do you have to say to the community? How can you know, make that other person who's too scared to talk about it, or you know, let people feel a little bit less itchy? I don't know, is that the word to use it? Like just kind of like freaking out and panicked and a little paranoid. Yeah, even though that might be more of the weed, but still.
Well, because especially here, I mean, you're in Oklahoma, it's Oklahoma, so church on Sundays, there's no liquor being sold. There's, you know, it was a huge thing when this passed. I mean, more people voted for the legalization of our medical marijuana than they have ever voted for the governor. So it was huge, and it was like a huge boom when it first came out, and then a lot of people got quiet. It was like the backlash they got from family, friends, churchgoers, you know, people around. And so I'm with you. That was my main thing, is I want especially the people I'm around and I'm trying to talk to more about being more open about it. It's not necessarily being more open as in I'm going to post it all over my Instagram and talk about it 24/7, but more open as in, if you have a headache and you have to take a Tylenol, do you hide it under the table when you take it? Do you go in the room and go in your bathroom and hide it while you're taking it and come back out and, sorry guys, I had to take my medicine? Like, that's basically where we're at here. And so that's what I'm really trying to do. People and still smoke. You can, I mean, there's a lot of people who had to leave because of their kids, had to move to Colorado, things like that. So there's just so much, there's not just one person. Just like if I don't really want to use that example, but if I don't know, anybody, it's not one specific person. And so I think that it's a whole community of people, and that's the biggest thing that I want to share.
For sure. Like, let's talk about, so I just came back from Michigan to go visit to see if I can move there, because Portland is great. It's a really great city. It's, pot is, recreationally legal here. There's really flexible rules. There's actually cannabis clubs where you can go and smoke and drink with your friends. It's really awesome. There's only two, but there's, there's plural. It's great, but they exist. Yeah. But my issue with Portland is it's so saturated with cannabis and it's so saturated with creativity that I don't feel unique here anymore. And I feel like I can't serve my community to improve it. And also it's fucking expensive as balls. Like my apartment's kind of like a shithole and it's like $1,600 a month. Like, I can do better. So we're going to be moving to Michigan, where it's going to be recreationally legal in 2020, and it's already been decriminalized. And it's actually like 30 minutes from where my fiance grew up. So, we get to be near family. We get to live vicariously through his sister, who just had a baby, because we're probably not going to have kids for a while. And there, all of his friends have gone to prison for possession of weed, like really, really small amounts. Everyone there's a huge there's like kitty passing. There's a huge drug problem in the UP and the small town of Crivitz, Wisconsin, and it's so bad that like cops will follow you home. If you do one thing bad, they'll fucking circle you. They're looking for any excuse to take you down, because it's a rural place, because there's not a lot of murders and stealing and all this stuff. It's usually just drugs or DUIs. So going there and then talking to that community and realizing that everyone's afraid to leave their house. Like, no one, like there's no taxi service there. There's no Uber. So if you wanted to get a taxi home from the bar, that's not even a fucking option. It's like one stoplight kind of towns. And these people really all can, keep to themselves. There's a lot of like abortion billboards and Jesus is watching you fucking signs and all this stuff. And to be able to move there and not only light a creative fire under artists that have literally never heard of any major resources like Creative Live or Skillshare or any of these like hey, you could just use YouTube to build up your skills. They don't even know that fucking exists, because none of the public school systems even have art classes because they don't have the budget. And people are actually having to pay $50 to $100 per couple weeks if they wanted to take an art class in their high school. So it's like not even fucking there. Wow. And I feel like art and cannabis has such a good crossover because it's a beautiful representation of a deeper meaning behind what you're trying to say versus just, here, read this article, right? Yeah. So to be able to cross those two things, and we have big plans, like it's going to take a while, but we're going to buy a building. We're going to create an artist residency program there because there's nothing around for like literally 100 miles. And then we're going to have the first, hopefully, cannabis club. So it'll be a freestanding building where people can work and smoke weed and hang out on the rooftop and all that stuff.
Not be scared.
And not be scared. And there's even a dispensary already like down the road from where we want to buy the building. So it's like, how can we perpetuate the norm and get rid of the stigma behind cannabis culture? Maybe something like moving out of that big city where it's already so comfortable. Maybe so many more of us do need to be a little bit more uncomfortable to make a bigger impact and statement with those communities. Like, what if all of, I feel like, to speak on politics for a moment, like cannabis is usually like a very left-leaning topic. So if you think about it, if like more people went to those red states, maybe we would be able to have more of a say and be able to just really have beautiful conversations and arguments with people so both sides can be heard. Versus just being the same thing perpetuated, almost like really weird, just like rumors and folklore.
Yeah, it's watching you. If you see,
may or may not see your spirit guides.
Like, don't you do it? You're gonna go mad.
Don't do it. The devil will be your best friend if you do.
Yeah.
Oh man, the devil's lettuce was a big one here. It was hilarious. I agree with you. I mean, like I said, even it got a little quiet here, but after it was, passed, but it's amazing how much, with overnight, I want to say overnight, but August was when we passed SQ 788. It's April, and we have over 890 dispensaries in the state. And of course, we here now are doing like a mid panic of we don't want to become Oregon as in like way too much cannabis, not enough people thing. And right now, it's so new that you have so many people that are trying to stake their claim in helping build this cannabis community. And I think that sometimes the focus is too much on I want to be the cornerstone of this community as opposed to let's see what we can do to help this community. We,
sure.
not me, not I did it, my brand did it. You know what I mean? And I'm with you though. Getting out of the areas like you've got smaller towns here that I want to go visit with my podcast because they don't get a lot of it's so fun to see how cannabis is in a rural town in Oklahoma, going down Main Street and seeing one dispensary in a one stoplight town where Dixie Street Corner is on the side.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just so fun to see that because it's such a good feeling how far we've come from being like the town you were in. I mean, obviously it wasn't so we could still take taxis and go to bars and stuff, but like
Yeah.
you know, when it came to cannabis, it was you were done. I mean, you still have people here that are still serving life sentences for it. I
For
mean,
sure. Yeah.
after they passed the hemp bill federally, we had some people from Colorado. They were from Colorado bringing some here or bringing it back to Colorado hemp, and the whole semi got pulled over. They were all taken to jail, even though it was completely legal. They had a bill of sale for hemp. They stayed in jail for 30 days while they were waiting to figure out what they were going to do. And then, of course, it all got dropped. But they lost 30 days of their freedom over something that's completely legal, and they're in Oklahoma. And so that it also shows you see so much like push, like move forward, like the momentum, like you're in Portland and everything is very much, it's moving in a direction of cannabis. Everybody's cannabis friendly. It's very much almost saturated like California and Colorado.
Super saturated, yeah.
And then you come to places like here and you're like, okay, well, they legalized it, so they're good with it. But no, I mean, the moment we legalized it, it was like a big stomping of the foot from all legal parties. So I can definitely, I don't want to say proud because I feel like I'm like somebody's mom when I say that, but I'm so
Yeah,
proud
you can be
that
my mom.
okay, I'm so proud that you're doing that. Like that is so amazing to want to help an entire generation. Like that's generations of help. Creating something for children that they can actually look forward to going to go to school and not having to worry about how they're going to pay that, and people actually being able to breathe, go out and hang out at a spot and not feel that. I mean, I don't know. That's all very amazing. I love that.
Well, I'm glad to, yeah, it's something I've been really wanting to do for a long time now. Just because I feel like just being an artist it's a completely self-serving fucking job. Like, this is how I feel. This is like what I did today. This is what I think. And it's, like that's what it is. It's self-expression. It's the person's, how they identify, what they believe in. But when you get into the platform of education, then you're able to be, really help people. Not to mention that it's a great way to earn extra money as well, because people obviously need that education. But yeah. I don't know, like, I don't want to be an artist for the rest of my life, to be honest. Like I'm probably going to get arthritis. It's the same thing if like I was an athlete and I was a runner, my knees are going to give out by the time I'm 35. It's the same thing. If I'm drawing for 12 hours a day, I'm going to lose my hand function. It's going to happen. So it's like, what do I do when it's gone? Like, do I enter Publix or something? Like, what are my options? Actually, Costco has way better fucking benefits, just saying. But so that's why I'm trying to put things in motion. Like, well, I still want to be a part of the industry as a whole, but how can I give back in a larger way? Because like you get bored at any job, it's pretty normal, and you climb that corporate ladder. But when that corporate ladder is your platform and there, no one's giving you the promotion, you're giving yourself the promotion. Like, what are the next steps? Like, usually it's like, okay, I'm going to hire employees. I'm going to start an agency or a design agency. I don't want to fucking do that. I really don't. That is not interesting that I work with bigger and bigger assholes with more money. I don't want to fucking do that.
I'll start thinking, I'm like, I want to build. And then I'm like, the responsibility is going to kill me. Like I got problems.
That's legit though. For sure. Yeah. That's why, I don't know, like it's a big dream. Like I'm going to buy a building, but like I can buy a building for $250,000 in this small town. I would have to pay more for that for a house. In Portland, and I can get a building where we have a retail space in the bottom. I can have like multiple apartments up top to, house myself and any other creatives that don't have fucking anything. Like they have like one classroom in the college there that teaches painting. That's it. And it's just like, what is happening? So it's like, all right, I'm going to move to Menominee. That's the name of the city. It's really beautiful. It's like right in front of the Great Lakes. Everyone's so kind. People actually make eye contact with you there. Oh, I can't.
They don't do that in Oregon or Portland?
Not in fucking Portland. And I'm originally from Fort Lauderdale, like in Florida. So like the serious garbage people. And if you're from Florida, you might be a garbage person. I'm just going to be honest with you. I've never been robbed more in my life. I've never been lied to or scammed than Florida. Like, oh, we're going to put a new roof on your thing. Here's $2,000. Just kidding. Didn't actually put a roof on. Like, okay, hey, would you like this? Exactly. Like, oh, would you like this used car stereo at the gas station that I just stole 30 minutes ago? Like, there's so many of that.
Like that thing that just came on Facebook where you could like Google your birthday and Florida man and something is gonna pop up, and literally every single person can do that. And I've never been to Florida, and I don't know really anybody from Florida. And so, but anytime, like since that popped up and what you're saying, and one other person, I just like, sorry guys, but I don't want to go there. I don't want to visit.
It's good. Not like just stay in Disney World property and then just don't leave. Like that's it. And just like make sure no one steals from you. That's it.
People, I take for granted here because people are actually very nice in Oklahoma. Unless they say bless your heart and then they're not being nice. It's so funny that you said that because I notice that when I go to other states and I'm just like, oh, like we went to Colorado 2 years ago for my birthday and it's 8 hours away, people. And it's like a whole nother world. They're just like, what are you doing here? What can we help you with? And you're just like, oh. We were staying at an Airbnb and it was the year there was a huge blizzard. They shut down the airport. It was the day I was supposed to leave. They shut down the airport. Well, the Airbnb kicked us out. Like literally said, I have somebody else coming. You have to leave.
Yeah.
And but there's no Ubers. Nobody's driving cars. It's a complete blizzard outside. He opens the garage and we're walking with the snow is coming up to my knee and we're having to walk and we don't know where we're going. And so a city bus is what picks us up on the side of the road. Really just shoved us out of his garage. And I was like, man, I don't like people outside of Oklahoma.
That's a tough situation too. Cause what are they supposed to do in that situation? Cancel the person's reservation who came there or
but he wasn't there yet.
Oh yeah, they could have at least negotiated hey, this is a hard situation, these people are going to be hanging out until they can actually leave their home. There could have been things done, but he was too paranoid about
to me that the guy
money.
The guy was flying in, so the flights had been canceled. There was really we literally said if the guy ends up showing up, we have no problem leaving. He wasn't even there.
Okay, yeah, if that guy wasn't even showing up, then that doesn't even make any sense.
And that guy Snowmageddon outside.
If that person knew about how to run a business and make money, if someone doesn't show up to an Airbnb, they don't pay for it. So it's did you want the money? You want an extra day of money that you thought you're going to get? It just would have made literal sense, but that's weird.
None. But yeah, so that was the last time I ventured outside of Oklahoma.
Yeah, I don't dude, to this day, I don't even live in fucking Florida anymore. So my mom has COPD. She's not only she smoked weed, but she's been smoking cigarettes since she was 12 and she's paying the price and she's not quitting. She's a badass, I guess. I don't know. A very she's I don't give a shit.
I'm already paying for it, whatever.
She's I didn't even think I'd live this long. That's what she keeps saying all the time. I don't want to live in diapers. Why does anybody want to be that old? It doesn't make any sense.
I agree with her on that.
Fuck it. But now she's on the oxygen tank. So I keep getting all these spam fucking troll calls. So I got this one, right after my mom got diagnosed, and they're like, hey, so we're calling from blah, 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 Florida hospital, and your mom's just been, she just checked in, and she ran a money for her oxygen tank. So for a low price of $150, we can sell you 3 different tanks each. So just let me know if that's something you want to do. And I'm like, what? So first of all, my mom's not in the hospital. She would fucking tell me, right? I know she has plenty of oxygen because her Medicare covers it. Who the fuck are you? And they just hung up on me.
Well, what kind of horrible people are using family members in hospitals? What the F?
So that tells me that there's at least someone in that hospital who's stealing the contact information of patients to try to rip them off. To rip off their families. And then just a few weeks ago before I left for Michigan, I got a call about, hey, your mom just ran out of what is it called? Meals on Wheels. And my mom doesn't do that. She goes to the grocery store and she makes that shit from scratch and she's all vegan and organic and shit. Who the fuck are you? Hung up on me. So it's just
who are these people that don't know their parents? Who cares?
I know, they just assume. I think they think
where
that
somebody were to call me and be like, hey, your mom was just go ahead.
No, like I think it's coming from like you know, like a proud parent perspective. Like, oh, your mom's too proud to ask for money for her auction tank, so we're gonna call you. And I think a lot of stupid people, honestly, especially older children, you know, like I think if you're, you know, the millennial or the early generation, you're probably a little bit more wiser to these schemes, especially like, you know, not to open certain emails with subject lines, and like you don't download attachments, and like you don't fucking answer phone calls, you like calls you don't even recognize. Like I don't even. My phone hasn't been on ring the whole time I've owned it. It has never rung once in my life because it
I'm
bothers
so happy
me.
I'm not the only one who does that. It gives me
A lot of
such
people-
anxiety when my phone starts ringing. I'm just
I
like,
just
no.
I honestly don't know what ringtone to have, so I just didn't decide and I just chose silent. But yeah, so it's just like it's so annoying that no matter what, like people like especially my family that's, you know, lower class just keeps getting taken advantage of. Like they're poor, but can we make you poorer? Like, oh God, like what the fuck? It's super disheartening. That's why I moved to Portland. Not as bad in that regard. There's definitely a homeless situation here and a drug abuse problem, but that's the same to be said with any Northwestern, especially with Seattle being so close in San Francisco that do have the highest population of homeless people.
Yeah.
But again, I'm gonna jump to a different town and try again, and hopefully it's a better fit. And if not, I'll just keep fucking traveling until I find my place.
Right?
You know.
I love traveling. I mean, I've done it too. I've town hopped. I've been in Alaska, Hawaii, Oklahoma. I'm sure sooner or later I'll be somewhere else because can't stay in one place too long.
I think it's important. Like, you know, everyone's like, oh, you should backpack through Europe. Like, what about the United States? Like, there's so many different,
Right?
land styles. She's terrain. There's so many land
use that
styles,
now.
right? Like, you know, like, oh, here's canyons and mountains and desert and ocean and lakes. And it's so beautiful. And I've done 2 major road trips in the last like 4 months. One from Oregon to Florida, and another one from Oregon to Michigan. And it's such a pretty fucking ride, even if you don't go out to take a picture in front of the largest ball of yarn or whatever the fuck.
Right. Even nobody even saw it. It was you were there and it was pretty.
I know, right?
Jeez.
Like if you didn't post it on Instagram, did it exist? Did it happen? But yeah, I definitely recommend everyone travel, even if it's just like 2 towns over or something. Like it's so important. You're gonna grow a little bit every time.
Well,
Just
your mind expands. It's so weird to see. It's so weird to see people that have never left where they've been, and it's so weird. It's so hard to explain to them why exactly they need to get away from there. That just for a little bit. I mean, even if you're only going on a vacation, like just go for a couple days, get away from your current surroundings, whether it's an hour away, 30, 45 minutes away, even if it's 5 hours. Just get away. And there's more to the world than what you see every day. And that's a big mind fuck, honestly. Especially with the way people do things in different ways. You don't realize how specific certain things are to where you are until you go somewhere else. So, like the word y'all, it's very big in Oklahoma. When I used it in Alaska, I got made fun of for a year. So, like, you don't know. You don't know. Just like, so you guys say you all? I mean, it seems like a long shot. Just put it together, whatever.
funny.
All right. Well, I don't want to take up too much more of your day because I know you probably have a couple more. But I just wanted to see any advice that you have out there for, I guess, people wanting to open up more into whatever niche they're finding. I guess that would be a better way to ask that.
Would you say like an everyday? I say this is an everyday person or like an artist person?
Every day.
Yeah, I would say just stop focusing on any sort of engagement when you post things, and just post things from your personal experience because you want to share them. Think of it as like you're having a conversation with your friend. There's never a time you tell something to your friend and then they hear you have a conversation that you regret telling them that thing for the most part. And so why would you feel that way about social media? So I feel like if we just like something that's really helped me honestly, and like just within the last few weeks is I actually post more often. So that way, not every post is so precious. So that way I do feel more comfortable. Like I'm going to have a couple nude photos coming up on my grid. That's something that's like super out of my comfort zone. Yeah, going a little body positivity for you. And then, you know,
I liked your little story this morning too, by the way.
Yeah, I'm taking underwear selfies this week to like slowly ramp up to naked Dina. That's happening. Censored because Instagram hates me. But I'll put like little fucking mouths giffies on my nipples or some shit like that. Something that's funny. Or pineapple, something random. Or dicks. Maybe I'll put dicks because dicks never get censored, but titties do. It's really weird.
We might have a whole thing going on here. We might start dick censoring everything.
I'll put Instagram. Why is the dick not censored?
But Instagram takes one of my posts off. I'm gonna post it again with a dick on it.
You
Let's
should.
go on the weed and then see if that ever.
Yeah. And so if, and as a final tip, something that I've noticed since I've been deleted a few times, if you are posting content that's of a sexual nature or weed related, just be careful what hashtags you use. There's actually quite a bit of hashtags that are banned. For example, hashtag weed is banned. If you use that tag, it will hurt your engagement. So just check, like when you're looking at hashtags, and first of all, something will always show up for the popular section. So you have to go to the recent post and it'll tell you on the bottom, like, oh, this has been removed because someone turned it into porn. Like TGIF, for example, is a hashtag that's banned. There's so many.
Oh, like Oprah's book club? Did you know the Glass community took over Oprah's book club? So that's why that got banned. Like every single time they were posting Glass, they were posting it under Oprah's book club. And I was like, come on, guys, you know she's going to tag that. Like,
oh, God. Not the smartest move from the cannabis community. Yeah, so just check your hashtags and also just be careful of your captions, especially. You cannot legally promote the use of marijuana. You can't tell people what strains you prefer. You can't tell people how to smoke that. That will be removed. So you have to do a little dance, make a little love, get down.
Get down tonight.
Seriously. And that's something that I noticed with I even posted something that was of nudity, but I literally put black hearts and bars across the nudity and it still got deleted because I talked about masturbation in the caption. So it was so it's considered porn. So don't think it's don't be so, with that being said, don't be scared to post this kind of content. It definitely needs to be out there. Just be smart about it. Do a couple Google searches so that way you're safe and your account doesn't get removed.
Well, and I think that, didn't you say that, have they ever removed your account or have they just taken off?
They just, luckily I've only been deleted twice. So my account hasn't been deleted.
Gotcha.
Please don't delete me.
No, yeah, me too. We're all talking about it.
Knock on all this fake
the day that Instagram went down and everybody thought they got deleted, that was a good one.
Oh God, yeah, when people deleted the app and they couldn't even reinstall it.
They were messaging me, asking me, "Do you think they deleted mine for cannabis?" And I was like, "You're messaging me through Instagram. You can't do that if you're deleted."
Totally. That was my first thought. I was like, it finally happened.
Yeah, I did too. And then I Googled it, guys. Come on, there's a down indicator.
I just went to, it was funny because I went to Twitter because I'm like, I'm sure. And then Instagram didn't even acknowledge that Instagram was down for 12 hours. So they're just keep posting normal content. I'm like, you guys are assholes. This is not okay.
Facebook admitted it. Facebook was like, we're having a little bit of an issue. Oh, that's good. Second redheaded stepchild. But we're talking about Instagram right now.
We don't even fucking care about you. Stop making us create an account when we want to create a business account. We don't want to use you. It's so frustrating. But yeah, and then what was the last tip I want to say? So we talked about hashtags, and then I had it and I forgot what it was. Damn it. It'll come to me eventually when it's too late. We're not recording. Anyways, thanks for having me on your podcast and listening to my sick voice.
Awesome. Thank you for being on here and dealing with my crappy internet.
Oh, it's okay. It's been fun. I've been watching you rewind and talk fast, but for the most part, I've been able to make out everything that you said, so I can get all your jokes and laugh along with you. Doesn't matter. I do have a 420 apparel line coming out in 2 weeks, so there's going to be even more art that you can post if you want to share.
I'm so excited because I want to buy some of your apparel,
so just a heads up, and then extra stuff that's coming. I'm making Weed Queen leggings and which is going to be the hand smoking and all the different icons. And then I'm going to make a matching shirt that's going to be a crop top. That's going to be red with Weed Queen on the top. So it's going to be an outfit. And then we have, it's a cannabis and coffee kind of day. That's going to be on tanks and V-necks. And then what else are we doing? There's something else I'm forgetting. What is it? Oh, and then the Pastor Wings Not Judgment. I'm going to put it on a black V-neck because everyone was asking about black. So
I'm so excited. Yay.
Yeah, dude. Thanks for being my, I actually have 3 different cannabis podcast this week for some reason. You're my first one ever.
Hey, look at that.
Yeah.
I can actually post that. Yes.
Yeah.
The first one, guys. Did you see that?
First one. And I actually got my first paying cannabis client this week as well. So
I saw that this morning. Congratulations.
Yeah, and it's going to be so gay. I'm so excited.
Literally, that's the point. And I'm just kidding.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, it's a good combo of subject matter.
Yeah, that's exciting. And I like your mood board for it, so you're good.
Thanks. It's so pink.
I'm a pink person, but all right, you have a good rest of your day.
All right, bye, girl.
Bye.
All right, guys. So there we had our interview with Dina from Letter Shop. Please be sure to let us know what you thought. Let me know. And also, before I go, here's my handles. And those are specifically important because as of now until Monday, so that's not very long, guys, you have the opportunity to win a Pharma t-shirt, Pharma as in ARMA. You can check out that logo here as well. They are a group in Oklahoma, and I'm going to read their mission statement so you get a little bit more of what they are. And I feel like they say it a little better than I can try to put together, so let's read it. Over the last few decades, poorly selected breedings have produced plants that are disease prone and often lack the desired effects of both indica and sativa preferences. I can agree. The stronger indicas that were ever present decades ago are all but extinct today, while sativas have been selected to near monotony. Our mission to change this by the collection, preservation, and development of landrace and heirloom genetics. So their collection being developed specifically for the climate of Oklahoma. And here we have some of their genetics. So here is their email and their Facebook. Okay, now you're gonna see it down here because okay. But here are the t-shirts. I have a medium and I have a large. So there's 2 winners. And what you're gonna do is you're gonna see the post for this episode. Okay? Post on my Instagram for this episode. You're gonna like it. You're gonna share it. You're gonna tag somebody. That is how you enter. Super simple. And then I will be doing my giveaway to 2 lucky people because it's a large and a medium. So please hold on. Hopefully you don't care what size you get because it's going to be hard if you both wear mediums, then one of you gets a large and so on and so forth. I just want to be able to give 2 out, and I just wanted you to know what size they were. Okay. The next episode comes out on Monday, like I said, and that is my interview with Lucky's Grow Supply and also our educational on live resin diamonds and diamonds. So I want you guys to remember that positive vibe equals positive vibe. That was Watson. See? Positive vibe equals positive vibe.